drones are changing war, and the importance of drones as a war technology is going to change geopolitics. It is going to change the world order.
I mean, we've seen a lot of drone usage with the Russia-Ukraine war, the India-Pakistan skirmish that happened, and now with the US-Iran, whatever it is, war, skirmish, whatever. But saying that drones will change geopolitics and the world order is a bit of a stretch, Naveen. I mean,
Not really. Okay. Let us, to understand this, go back in history and look at how different war technologies have changed the world, right?
Okay.
So, what are the most important changes in technology of war in the last 1,000 years, would you say?
I mean, we started with swords, then we moved on to guns, then we moved on to cannons, then those became tanks, and then those became airplanes, and then finally nuclear weapons. The way I see it, actually, it seems like war has basically developed, or technology for war has basically developed so as to increase the distance between combatants with each technological development.
Right. That's a great way of looking at it, okay? And this increase in range, right, has led to the change in geopolitics related to this. Like, let me explain with specific examples, right?
Please.
The first big change was gunpowder, okay? And by the way, because of gunpowder, cannons came first. Guns and artillery came later on,
True.
okay? Because those requires precision metal making and all of that, right?
Correct.
So when cannons came in, the importance of castles reduced. Okay, earlier Europe, etc., had the feudal system. Okay, there would be one small area, a village or bigger than a village, and there would be one castle there, and whoever was the lord of that castle, the feudal lord, right, that person pretty much ruled that area, and whoever was sort of the king of that state or country, right, had to listen to the feudal lords, had to, if they were against the king couldn't do much, because a feudal lord could use his castle to defend himself, right?
True, fair.
And because of that, if you will notice, the feudal lords forced the King of England in 1215 to sign the Magna Carta, and that is how we ended up with democracy. Okay,
Yeah,
so keep that in mind.
Right, okay.
But as cannons came in, the importance of feudal lords decreased because cannons could bring down the castles of those days.
Correct.
Right? So as a result, the importance of kings increased, the importance of city-states or importance of nations increased. Right?
Okay.
So that is the first big geopolitical change. Okay.
Right.
Then came guns. Okay. And the difference between cannons and guns isn't just the gunpowder, right? It is the ability to manufacture large number of guns and other artillery. By artillery, I mean those big guns, force kind of guns, which can shoot over a long distance, right? Now, that making one or two of those is easy. Making a large number of them and getting them shipped to the battlefield requires a sort of industrial state.
Correct.
Right? And that the European countries after the Industrial Revolution were able to do in a way that other countries in the world could not. Right? This is why Europe managed to colonize the world, because they had an industrial revolution, guns and steel. Right?
So the military-industrial complex developed there in Europe because of the Industrial Revolution, and then they were able to export that, the contents of the military-industrial complex and the products of it.
Correct. So the technology is the guns, and the driver there is the industrial complex that allows them to manufacture guns at a large scale and good precision. Right?
Correct.
Then the next big change, right, was tanks. Okay. And Germany realized the importance of tanks much earlier than other nations, right? And because of that, Germany overran France in a matter of weeks when France thought it was impregnable. Now, thankfully, this did not change the world order, because that war dragged on for too long, and then the other countries, the allies, they figured out the importance of tanks, and they finally, over a period of many years, out-manufactured Germany. So tanks had the potential to change the world order.
I was about to say.
But they didn't.
Right.
Okay. But after that, I don't think I have to explain how nuclear bombs again changed the world order, right?
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much after nuclear bombs, the number of wars has gone down, the number of casualties of war, number of people dying because of wars has gone down. It might not seem like that to us, right? But if you just count how many wars were happening before that, it is like it has gone down like crazy.
I mean,
right?
if you look at absolute numbers, you will not feel that way, but probably look at percentage of population and you'll realize
Right.
that, nuclear weapons have really changed war and the world order massively.
Right. The next change, which we don't realize because we sort of lived through it, is precision missiles, right? So intercontinental missiles, which can be guided to such precision that they fly, go to a country, they go to one specific building and blow up just that building, right?
Yeah.
That requires very high technology. A lot of R&D has gone into it, and US is way ahead of most other countries as far as precision missiles are concerned.
Yeah.
As a result, what happened is that the geopolitics shifted. US became the single superpower. I mean, this is not the only reason. There were other
But,
contributors, but one of the important reasons was that it became sort of a unipolar world. It's like US and everything US does, and there's a few pockets like Russia and North Korea that are resisting. And we lived through a certain kind of a world because of that.
And then a variant of that precision missile can be considered to be the unmanned aerial vehicle, or what we know
drones.
as drone.
Yeah, except it is not a variant. Okay.
Okay.
Drones are very different from precision missiles. Okay. One precision missile costs huge amounts of money to manufacture and requires very, very, very complex technology that only US military has, and then maybe a few other militaries, right? A drone, by contrast, is something anybody can manufacture, right? I mean, we saw this in the Ukraine war. Russia thought it was a world superpower and it would run over Ukraine in a matter of weeks, right? Huge miscalculation, because Ukraine managed to defend itself. It's been 4 years and counting now. Ukraine is this tiny little country, okay? And it has withstood Russia for such a long time. And you can look at it and you can analyze it, and you see that one of the most important reasons is because Ukraine has drones. And with drones, Ukraine is able to stave off Russian tanks, a lot of Russian advances with just drones, right?
I think we should make a distinction here where you are talking about drones in terms of the quadcopters, and
Yeah.
I was thinking of drones in terms of the actual stealths, unmanned aerial vehicles that actually look like planes but smaller. And
Okay, that. Yeah. So see, I mean, technically drones word came, which it means any flying vehicle that is not manned, right? But pretty much the meaning of word changes based on usage. And today, if you say drone, everybody understands it means the quadcopters, right?
Yeah.
The octocopters or whatever, those things, right?
Yeah, the
And
ones with the...
That is what I'm talking about when I say drones have changed war, right?
Okay, so with this information in mind, I am guessing you're referring to the parts where bombs were dropped on Russian soldiers using those quadcopter drones,
Yeah.
and therefore stopped their advances because the tanks couldn't move, the armies couldn't move, the infantry couldn't move.
Correct. $400 kamikaze drones can destroy an Abrams tank, which costs $8 to $10 million.
True.
Right? So this is a massive change, and this success of drones has caused Ukraine to have a very drone-specific war strategy. They are producing 4 million drones annually, right? And these drones, with some simple AI enabled image recognition technology, can go and target a specific tank or a specific front and bring them down.
Yeah, and some of them are actually manually operated. You can see them using
Yeah.
those controllers, like your game console controllers, and they go and...
Oh, not just that. Oh, the reason for game console controllers is even cooler, right? What the Ukraine's digital minister did was he gamified drones, right? He tweaked the point system just like a video game, and these young soldiers who were probably brought up playing video games treated it as a video game. Kill counts doubled.
Okay.
Okay.
If anybody tells you Fortnite doesn't help, well,
Yes.
tell them this. Apparently it does. I didn't know either.
And
This is crazy.
drones have a kill zone of 5 to 10 kilometers, right?
Right.
So that makes traditional defenses irrelevant, like fortifications and trenches and things like that, right? How do you protect against like a drone that can come from anywhere, or 50 of them coming together, right?
Yeah. You know the thing I talked about, the distance between combatants increasing?
Yeah.
Drones have increased and also decreased the distance between combatants because only one combatant can see the other.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And the other big thing is sea drones, right? You have an unmanned boat or a little ship, let us say, right? And that has a bunch of drones on it. And that is why Ukraine, a country without a navy, sank 1/3 of Russia's Black Sea fleet,
Wow.
right?
Okay. Fair. I see how drones have helped Ukraine hold their own in the Russia-Ukraine war.
Yeah.
But you said something about geopolitics and the world order changing. I don't see the world order changing yet.
I mean, it will change because of this, right? I mean, what you can clearly see is that it changes the equation between who is powerful and who isn't, right? Earlier, it was the big country with a lot of money could just go and completely destroy a smaller country. Now, suddenly, because of drones, that is no longer as true, right? Second thing it does is that it also changes who can engage in warfare, okay? Because it doesn't have to be a nation to be able to use drones. What we have seen, for example, in the Red Sea, the Houthi rebels, who were pretty much pirates and terrorists, they were able to stop all trade in a particular region in a sea just through the use of drones, right? Yeah, sure, they were helped by Iran there, but the point is that terrorism is going to become suddenly much more of a force, and that is again going to change geopolitics, right?
I mean, terrorism and guerrilla warfare, and
Yeah,
sometimes the
exactly.
two are interchangeable.
Correct, exactly. I mean, it just depends on who wins, and then you will call it terrorism or you'll call it amazing guerrilla warfare, right? Yeah.
Okay, and now I'm actually thinking about how much more terrifying it can get when AI enters the equation, when automated,
Yeah, see, it is already happening, right? More and more AI is being put into drones, and this probably is one area where there is maximum investment and maximum research going on as far as the military is concerned, right? So what's the geopolitical impact of that? Drones will become even better and more insanely powerful with AI, right? As a result, AI becomes extremely important technology for war, right?
So countries that have good foundational models for AI and countries that can instruct that AI in a way they want
Right.
will hold the higher ground, like China is doing with Quen.
Yeah. No, so what will happen is that, AI becomes extremely important, almost like nuclear weapons. Then being able to build AI, you require GPUs. So GPU manufacturing becomes very important.
Second order.
For GPU manufacturing, you need TSMC, only company that makes that quality of GPUs, right? So Taiwan becomes extremely important, and then China sitting right there with one of the biggest militaries in the world, and who thinks of Taiwan as a part of their own country, suddenly that whole equation begins to look very scary.
Yeah, I mean, there is precedent. Russia annexed Crimea, saying this was always our own country. Who knows why China hasn't done that same thing with Taiwan? But then again, because Taiwan, TSMC, therefore US will get involved and other European countries will get involved. So there's a lot of geopolitics there. Yes, I see it.
Yeah.
But then one perspective of this could be that drones are actually leveling the playing field for the weaker players, for the smaller countries, like Ukraine, as you explained, for example.
Yeah.
Isn't
So, yeah, probably, but we can't be sure, right? Because what's happening is drones are leveling the playing field, but AI is going back to giving more importance to the big countries, right? Because they're the only ones that can invest in AI. So it depends on which is more important, drones, or is drones plus AI so much better than just drones? Then the playing field is not necessarily leveled. So we don't know, but the point is that this combination of drones plus AI is going to change geopolitics quite a lot. The other big change it can make is suddenly the companies which can make these things, how important do those become, right? Remember how importance of feudal lords shifted to countries. It is possible that importance could shift from countries to companies. Who knows, right?
It already has to some extent in the past with the internet, where your social media networks gained a lot of importance in terms of communication warfare, I would like to call that. But I do see that.
But another thing is that let's not just talk about across country, right? I mean, the world order can change because of changes within a country.
How?
So imagine a dictator, okay? Now, the thing that keeps dictators in check is the possibility of a revolution. We have seen a number of those revolutions in recent times.
Yes.
Right? And those happen because, we talked about this. When a revolution gathers enough people, when it goes beyond a certain point, it becomes impossible to put it down, right? And then the revolution can just overrun the existing government.
We did an episode on it. It goes along the lines of 3.5% of a population is required to form a majority. Go check that out after you finish this, but go on.
Right. So, but now suddenly, if with the help of drones, a dictator can monitor the populace much more and control protests much more and put down protests much more and prevent the 3.5% from ever getting together in the first place. Now suddenly dictators can become much more brutal and authoritarian regimes can become much more stable, which means that it is quite possible that a whole lot of governments which are democratic right now will slowly start shifting towards authoritarian. We are beginning to see the signs of that, right? I mean, for 300 years, democracy slowly increased, and then last 20 years, the amount of democracy in the world is going down. So, like I said, world order, it is not just about which country is whose enemy, but also what kind of governments we will have could depend on drones.
Yeah, which also forms an important and interesting question. Will this lead to more wars and violence? Because there is only up to a certain point that you can keep a population repressed. And especially because drones being as cheap as they are and also being non-human, we have a lot more cannon fodder to throw at the opponent, at the enemy, so to speak. So how will this change the face of violence across the world is an interesting question that I think we should let everybody else ponder.
Yes.
Because it's a hypothetical and we don't want to go too much into hypotheticals.
Yeah, well, see, I mean, in some sense, this has been a very depressing episode because we said it'll change the world order, but a lot of the changes look like not good changes, right? But one important thing that I should point out is that so many technologies have started as military technology, but then they moved on to civilian use. And, the civilian uses, the positive uses, far overshadowed the negative uses, right? So we will do an entire episode on the good uses of drones, right? So that we can end this sequence on a positive note.
All right, so look forward to that episode. And speaking of that episode, what I just realized is the quadcopter drones that you're talking about actually started as civilian technology and then got co-opted by the military.
Right.
So there is that distinction to make as well. Lots of things to think about drones, but as Naveen says, it is not all that depressing. And we'll wait for him to come back and tell us why it's not that depressing.
Yes.
Shrikant, Naveen, futureiq.